This week, Jim Carrey terrorizes Whoville and How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
The Pickle family and friends head overseas in Rugrats in Paris.
And Gwyneth Paltrow and Ben Affleck share a tragic secret in Bounce.
You're a reindeer. Here's your motivation. Your name is Rudolph. You're a freak with a red nose and nobody likes you. Then one day, Santa picks you and you save Christmas.
Jim Carrey is the Grinch who stole Christmas, and that's one of 5 new movies this week, plus an internet report from Michaela Pereira. I'm Richard Roeper, columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Roger Ebert, film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times. Jim Carrey is beyond debate the most energetic actor in the movies today, and he goes into overdrive in Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a high-velocity holiday extravaganza that does everything except cheer us up very much. What a strange, grim, drab movie this is, with occasional shots of humor cutting through the gloom.
4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger. Tell no one.
That's Jim Carrey, of course, as the Grinch, a bitter recluse who lives on top of a garbage mountain and resents the folks of Whoville for being cheerful and good and for taking their Christmas decorations so seriously.
Isn't this the chandelier from the dining room?
It's all for the cause, dear.
The director, Ron Howard, has marshaled an impressive special effects effort with Carrey at its center.
We're gonna die! We're gonna die! I'm going to throw up, and then I'm gonna die! Mommy, tell it to stop!
The movie provides a little psychology to explain the Grinch. He was teased by the kids at school because he was green and had hair all over his body. Now, what kid wouldn't tease somebody like that? And there's a perky little heroine named Cindy Lou Who. She has faith that the Grinch can't be all bad, but more of the childhood and more of Cindy's optimism might have been a good idea. The movie is eerie and weird, and the Grinch is more likely to scare little kids than to charm them. In Dr. Seuss's drawings, the story seems strange but cheerful. The movie plays more like a horror picture.
Well, I don't know if it plays like a horror picture, but Jim Carrey from the start is kind of trying to win us over. I don't see him as being really depressed up there. He's doing a one-man show. He's doing shtick, and he's playing to the camera, and he's doing ad-libs. And so there's no real transformation. There's no arc of the Grinch, if there should be an arc of his character. And you mentioned the residents of Whoville. Okay, in the drawing and in the animated TV special that a lot of people love, the original drawings, you know, they are strange-looking. But to have human characters have that weird snout thing going, they're uglier than the Grinch. So I think that was a big miscalculation because they're terrible-looking people. They're kind of scary, too.
Yeah, it's not the kind of holiday picture I think people are looking for that's kind of upbeat and happy and
not at all.
And cheerful and optimistic and filled with peace and goodwill and so instead of all that, it's just all kind of grungy and
yeah, and it is dreary.
And
you mentioned dreary and drab.
The art direction is kind of, you know, all those reds look kind of burnt out and
a lot of scenes of people just flying through the air and landing on fake snow. It was really a big disappointment given the talents of everybody involved. Yeah. Okay, our next movie is Red Planet. It's set in the year 2050, but it really has the tone of those cheesy 1950s sci-fi flicks like The Angry Red Planet and Red Planet Mars. Here, this time around, planet Earth is dying, and Bowman, who's played by Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix, leads a team of scruffy astronauts on a mission to see what happened to the algae that was producing lots of oxygen until it suddenly disappeared. But it's a 6-month journey, and a girl's got a shower along the way.
This only works if we both believe it doesn't matter.
So I should pretend you're Birchnell.
Well, you could make it matter more than that.
Okay, why don't we practice? You can get back in the shower naked and come out, and I'll pretend it doesn't matter.
That's Val Kilmer as Gallagher, whose rap is so bad it wouldn't get him a good table at Hooters. Now, an emergency landing puts Gallagher and 4 other male scientists on Mars while Bowman circles in the command module.
Got no food and water. Amy's gone Mustang. And, oh yeah, we can breathe.
How can that be? The oxygen levels are... That is impossible.
Another problem? Gallagher's robot has gone haywire and is stalking the astronauts like a mechanical Jason from Friday the 13th.
Amy!
The The astronauts also have to contend with a complete lack of food and water, the deadly and double-crossing antics of one team member, and thousands of creepy, crawly little monsters with a taste for human blood. Well, you know what they say about real estate: location, location, location. The one thing they apparently can't find on Mars here is a decent script. Red Planet is like a loud and particularly silly episode of Star Trek.
Well, you know, I like your comparisons to Star Trek and to 50s science fiction movies, but I would look at them favorably rather than negatively. This is a science fiction movie that deals with ideas. It's kind of like the sort of hard-boiled, factual science fiction that we had in the 50s in magazines like Astounding, edited by John Campbell, where a bunch of scientists go up and try to figure things out. It doesn't involve a lot of special effects. And the monsters that you kind of mentioned have a very interesting rationale behind them that I found interesting. Now, it's marginal. It's not a great film, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as old-fashioned science fiction.
I think it's funny that you're mentioning factual in the context of this wacky movie where they're bouncing out of the spaceship and landing and they get out,
but
they're walking around.
Even the bouncing itself, you mentioned that.
And their rubber thing.
Yeah, their landing craft has big balloons to help it bounce when it lands. Now, that's interesting. Wouldn't that be a way to do it?
We dropped out of the sky from like hundreds of miles and we landed on Mars. Good thing we've got some rubber
being
padding.
Completely unfair. It's not hundreds of miles. They come down with the retro rockets, and when they get right above the surface, they have to have some way to bounce, and rather than make a hard landing. It makes perfect sense.
I think you're being very generous. You're in a comic book mode. You're enjoying it like that.
Those bouncing, inflatable landing things are factual, and I think they make sense.
It's a silly movie, and either it works or it doesn't. There were just many, many moments where I thought, you got to be kidding. Right from the start, when they're doing the narration, they're like, a good pilot, but a hothead, as they're showing these different
Goes
guys.
right back to that great stuff from the 50s.
That stuff
Loved it
wasn't
on
great.
that level.
That stuff wasn't great.
Yes, it was. Coming up later in the show, Ben Affleck keeps a secret from Gwyneth Paltrow in Bounce.
He wants to give me some business.
Yeah, Billy.
And coming up next, a movie about Thanksgiving named What's Cooking?
Why do you want to make the turkey taste like everything else we eat?
Why do you want everything to taste like McDonald's?
Get the door, Jenny. Get the oven door.
Okay.
A Vietnamese-American family prepares the Thanksgiving turkey with chili sauce and What's Cooking? A heartwarming new film about four families celebrating the only American holiday that has no official religious or patriotic connections. The movie intercuts between families as turkeys provide the centerpiece for ethnic feasts while the characters engage in feuds and secrets, romances and rivalries, old wounds and new beginnings, and of course, the generation gap. At Alfre Woodard's house, there's tension in the kitchen because her mother-in-law, played by Ann Weldon, doesn't believe she's a very good cook.
Grace, it's done. Don't poke my turkey. It's still pink. That's not done.
Mercedes Rule is a separated Latino mom whose son invited Dad to the dinner without telling her, while she invited her new boyfriend without telling her family.
And I'm Javier, her husband. Who are you?
I'm a teacher at Elizabeth School.
Jewish parents Lainey Kazan and Maury Chaikin welcome home their daughter, played by Kira Sedgwick, and her girlfriend, played by Juliana Margulies.
I can hear the clock going tick-tock, tick-tock.
Meaning?
Meaning we're all tired of waiting for your Mr. Right to come along.
Well, stranger things have happened.
The movie was directed by Gorinda Chadha, an Indian woman born in Kenya, raised in London, now living in San Francisco, where her husband and co-author, Paul Mayeda Burgess, is part Japanese. So, there you go. What's Cooking celebrates America as a multiracial, multi-ethnic melting pot. It also has the best gourmet photography since Soul Food. I'm looking forward to the cookbook.
Yeah, this movie made me hungry as you're watching them prepare all these dishes. But it's not a we are the world, everything's perfect, and here are four different types of ethnic families. It's smarter than that. A lot of tensions you mentioned. Terrific performances throughout. You get the sense it's the kind of movie that actors do worse movies so they can afford to do a smaller film like this. There's probably 15 or 16 really well-written and very well-acted roles. The women in particular, Kira Sedgwick and Juliana Margulies as a lesbian couple. Mercedes Rule, best role she's had in a long time. So I like this film a lot.
I did too. You know, this director did a movie called Baji at the Beach a few years ago, and I liked that too. It was about Indians in London. And what she does is she finds people who have moved and brought their culture along and yet are making adjustments to the new place.
Right.
And to take these four, you're right, it's not just like the UN or something.
No.
Each story is handled so well.
And they don't all end in big hugs and everybody deciding they love each other.
Yeah.
It's smarter than that.
Yes, it is.
All right, coming up next, womanizer Ben Affleck becomes interested in widow Gwyneth Paltrow in Bounce.
I saw your coffee mug.
2 puffs of your last one.
That's because I don't really smoke. This is just to get me off the gum. I'm 10 days off the gum.
Sounds like a good plan. Next week you'll be on heroin.
Gwyneth Paltrow and Ben Affleck take the first steps in a tricky verbal dance of courtship in Bounce, a sweet romance with a sharp edge. Affleck plays Buddy Amaral, a cocky ad executive who gives up his airline seat so he can stay behind and score with a babe. But Buddy's world is rocked when the plane crashes, killing everyone on board. After he emerges from a year-long and boozy haze, he's compelled to look in on Abby, who is the widow of the man who took his seat.
I'll call you at your office tomorrow and fax over the specifics.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
He wants to give me some business.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Now, Buddy doesn't tell Abby his secret. She just thinks he's an interesting, nice man she'd like to know better. And there are a lot of smile-inducing touches throughout this story, as when Abby explains one of Buddy's more endearing traits.
You know when you go to a table and a guy does that, like, halfway thing, like he's gonna stand out? He does that. I love when guys do that.
Paltrow is so winning yet believable in this part. She's not a saint, she's just a good person who's been slammed by a tragedy. Affleck is better at playing the egotistical jerk than the heroic good guy he becomes, but he's also saddled with the more difficult part, considering that Buddy's very presence in Abby's life is a cruel lie. But the script from director Don Roos is such a marvelous piece of writing and laced with insightful revelations and lines that I was really rooting for Abby and Buddy. Even though I had some misgivings about the plot, Bounce won me over.
I like it too, just as I like Roos's last film, The Opposite of Sex. But I'm going to tell you, I have one criticism of the film. This is one of those films like Return to Me, where the people fall in love, but there's a terrible secret that involves the death of one of their partners. And so we know that the big scene is going to be the revelation of that secret. Now, in Return to Me, which was 5 months ago, it was handled perfectly. Here, for an inexplicable reason, Don Roos has Gwyneth Paltrow off screen. We never see the scene where she finds out, and when Buddy finds out that she knows she's not on screen. It seems to me that the two people need to be on screen when that happens, and I think that is a miscalculation, although in general I like the film.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying about that, but I did like the script overall and the two lead performances.
Okay, our next movie is Rugrats in Paris, which is bright where the Grinch is dreary and funny where the Grinch is scary. When one of the Rugrat parents is called to Paris to repair the giant robot raptors at a theme park, the whole Rugrat gang goes along. As usual, Angelica is the bossy one, and some of the others are more concerned with issues like stinky dieties.
You babies are as dumb here as you are at home. Wee wee. Except him, he's speaking French already.
The movie makes fun of lots of other movies, sometimes 3 at a time. This scene, for example, simultaneously satirizes King Kong, the Iron Giant, and Little Indian Big City.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a nerd! It's a pin! It's Angelica! What's a big idea?
I was not very much thrilled by the first Rugrats movie, but I liked this one more, not only for the relentless energy level, but also because of scenes like the dance line of sumo wrestlers, and the usual choreography that the Rugrats also love involving bodily functions. Rugrats in Paris is not only fun for its target audience, but entertaining for grown-ups as well, and since they're buying the tickets, that's a break that they get for a change.
You know, the world was waiting for that Little Indian Big City parody. I know they're trying to, to appeal to adults. For me as an adult, I don't really like the Rugrats. I think they're little snots. They're always breaking things. They're getting into trouble. They don't amuse me that much. It's not a terrible movie. It wasn't offensive, but I can't give it a recommendation.
Do you know that kids are little snots that are always breaking things and getting into trouble?
Not the little kids I know.
Oh,
they know
yes.
better than that, and they get into trouble
kids.
when they knock over wedding cakes and when they climb over seats in airplanes and tease adults and everything.
The reason
like that.
kids love this movie is because it takes the point of view of kids who are kind of baffled by the world that confuses them, and they're always getting into trouble, and people are bawling them out, but somehow they save the day.
Well, I was baffled by this Euro Park in Paris. I thought it was a strange thing, too, but that's just
I liked
me.
it.
Not a fan of the Rugrats, what can I tell you? All right, coming up next, we welcome back our internet correspondent, Michaela Pereira. Michaela?
I'll have a report on which websites parents can visit this holiday season to determine which movies will be appropriate for their kids.
If the movie rating system sometimes seems less than helpful as a guide to new movies, the internet can come to the rescue. Our internet correspondent, Michaela Pereira, has a special report.
Hello, fellows. Well, just this past weekend, I heard a Christmas carol in the mall. That means it's a sign that the holiday season is officially upon us, and the rush of holiday movies is as well. Recently, there's been much talk about protecting younger audiences from violent and sexually explicit material in the media. Luckily, my friends, in this internet age, parents can use the web to find out more about movies their kids might be clamoring to see. Take, for example, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I asked for 3/4, not 5/8. Stay focused!
For the meat and potatoes of movie ratings, filmratings.com is a great bet. Simply type in the film title, and you'll learn that The Grinch is rated PG for some crude humor. Because filmratings.com is generated by the Motion Picture Association of America, the site lists the MPAA ratings earlier than anyone else. Next up, screenit.com. If you could look beyond the annoying ads and uninspired graphics, you'll find a comprehensive database of movies, plots, production info, and content evaluation. A chart covers 15 different topics, everything from profanity to violence, and even smoking and intense family scenes. For example, you may have learned back at filmratings.com that the MPAA rated Bedazzled PG-13 for reasons that include alcohol and drug abuse. But screenit.com describes all 7 scenes where such abuse takes place. So how about if you're not so concerned with ratings or questionable content, but want more detailed information about a movie before you fork over $8.50 to see, for example, The Sixth Day? The Internet Movie Database, or IMDb as we say in cyberspace, is the definitive source for movie facts on the Internet, and both filmratings.com and screenit.com have links to it. The site is really well laid out and is quite easy to maneuver. Not only can you search by movie title, but you can also find out what movie and TV appearances any given actor has made. For example, just how many other sci-fi movies has Arnold Schwarzenegger been in? IMDb also provides access to selected film reviews, but my favorite website for film criticism is the Movie Review Query Engine, or MRQE.com. Type in Pay It Forward and you'll find 115 reviews from the likes of Chuck Schwartz, the cranky critic, to streaming audio from this show.
A split decision on Pay It Forward. I thought it was all over the map, but Richard kind of liked the map.
To Roger's copy for the Chicago Sun-Times. In addition to reviews of current titles, MRQE's archives include compilations such as the AFI's 100 Greatest American Movies and reports from select film festivals. So, guys, I know that both of you spend a lot of time on the web. What are some of your favorite movie websites?
You know, Michaela, I go on about a dozen of these every week, but the one I go to first is usually RottenTomatoes.com.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Isn't that a good one? And it's
really
a lot
well
of fun. And it's easy to navigate. It gives you a lot of basic information, and the great tomato meter where you can find out what all the critics are saying. And that's the one I go to first. It's just a lot of fun, and it's got a good attitude and some good writing on there.
And it's actually really, in terms of a website, it's laid out really well. It's easy to decide if, is this a good movie? It's got a nice red tomato. Is it bad? Is a little green, Rotten Tomato.
You know, I like Rotten Tomatoes, too, and all of the sites you mentioned, Michaela. And one daily stop for me is David Poland's column. David was a guest host here on the show.
Yes, he was.
He writes every day a column called The Hot Button, which is at roughcut.com.
Right.
And he seems really wired and plugged in out in Hollywood. He talks about things very passionate, very opinionated, has a lot of reports on what the grosses really mean. Every time a studio claims they won the weekend, he tells you whether he thinks they were lying or not.
Well, and he also seems to really understand the web as well, and he's a really effective online movie reviewer. I found another one just the other day that I wanted to tell you fellas about. It's called movielens.org. Have you heard about this one?
No, I don't know.
Basically, it's run by a group of people from the University of Minnesota, and they predict using comparative thinking, collaborative thinking rather, to tell you what movies you're going to like. You review a couple of, or you see a couple of movies, base them on a 5-star system, and then they predict to you what movies you're going to like.
Wow.
I tried it, and they actually said that I was going to, I'd probably like Billy Elliot, which I haven't seen yet, but it's #1 on my list to see. And it said that I would like The Terrorist, which is one of my favorite movies from this last year.
Is it going to figure out that Roger liked Red Planet? That's the real question.
Don't even ask me about that one, because I think there's no sense there.
Thanks a lot, Michaela.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a moment.
Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. 2 thumbs down for The Grinch. It was drab and depressing. We split on Red Planet. We both thought it was old-fashioned science fiction, but Roger thought that was a good thing. 2 thumbs up for What's Cooking, a rich Thanksgiving feast. 2 more thumbs up for Bounce with Gwyneth Paltrow and Ben Affleck. And finally, we split on Rugrats in Paris. Roger was amused. I was not. And I was really disappointed by The Grinch, which just has an ugly look and very few laughs.
So if I made you, you'd choose Rugrats over The Grinch?
I'd just go to see Bounce again, actually, if those were the choices.
And What's Cooking is a good movie.
Very good.
Okay, remember you can hear our reviews on Ebert-Roeper-movies.com and read us in print at suntimes.com. And Michaela is online at techtv.com. Next week, more new movies, including the sequel 102 Dalmatians, starring Glenn Close. And also Unbreakable, a supernatural thriller starring Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Presto Pizzazz Pizza Oven. Freezer to perfect in minutes. Set it for pizza the way you like. While ordinary ovens are heating, you're eating. From Presto.
A house is not a home until it's safe. The Brinks home security system. Just $99 installed. Call 1-800-GO-BRINKS.
Tybo gives you back everything that you put into it and more. I've lost 126 pounds in 13 months. I got the power, you know, and it's great. It's Tybo.
If this is your idea of going to the ballet, then bring home new Hills Brothers Cappuccino in 6 rich flavors. Bring it on home.
Closed captioning for Ebert and Roeper in the Movies is brought to you by...
Ask your doctor now about Flonase nasal spray. When your doctor writes you a prescription for Flonase nasal spray, you'll be glad you took the time. All you want is Flonase.